Let's be honest, the world's a bit of a tire fire right now. We're talking wars raging, people going hungry, and the gap between the haves and the have-nots wider than a hippopotamus's yawn. It's enough to make you want to crawl back into bed and pull the covers over your head. But before you give in to despair, and let's face it, who could blame you? We're going to do something radical. We're going to talk about solutions. Today we're diving into some of the most pressing issues facing our world and exploring key strategies to address them. And no, this isn't some naive kumbaya singing, hope is all we need nonsense. This is about real, tangible actions that can make a difference. We're talking about everything from ending wars and eradicating hunger to tackling inequality head-on. Because frankly, the alternative, sitting back and doing nothing, is about as appealing as a week-old baguette. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a wild ride through diplomacy, economics, and maybe even a little bit of human decency. First up, let's talk about war. Now, I'm no Henry Kissinger, mostly because I find bow ties morally suspect. But even I can see that resolving conflict peacefully is a tad more productive than, blowing things up. That's where diplomacy comes in, that delicate dance of international relations that makes ballroom dancing look like a mosh pit. We need to be pushing for peace talks like they're going out of style, and not the ironic kind of going out of style, like skinny jeans. We're talking about genuine good faith negotiations, mediated by neutral parties who can tell the difference between a concession and a concession stand. And while we're at it, let's give some teeth to those international institutions we keep hearing about. The United Nations, for example, has the potential to be a real force for peace, if only we could agree on what force for peace actually means. Strengthening international law and empowering these organizations to act decisively is crucial. Otherwise, they're just fancy debating societies with really nice chairs. And trust me, the world has enough problems without arguing over who gets the comfy chair. Next up, let's talk about that elephant in the room, economic inequality. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to be making it rain in $100 bills. Although, if you're feeling generous, I do accept tips via Venmo. But seriously, the current state of wealth distribution makes Marie Antoinette look like a champion of the people. We need to get serious about redistributing wealth through progressive taxation and robust social safety nets. Now, before you go full-on Gordon Gekko and start yelling about greed being good, let me remind you that investing in education and healthcare isn't just some bleeding heart liberal agenda. It's about creating a more productive, healthy society where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. Because, and this might sound radical, but when people aren't constantly worried about putting food on the table or paying for their kids' insulin, they tend to be more productive members of society. Who knew? Okay, let's talk food, or more specifically, the lack thereof. It's a damn shame that in the 21st century, hunger is still a thing. We're living in a world where we can 3D print pizzas but can't figure out how to feed everyone. It's almost as if we've lost our priorities somewhere between inventing the internet and perfecting the avocado toast. We need to get real about sustainable agriculture. And no, I'm not talking about your cousin's kombucha brewery that he swears is going to revolutionize the beverage industry. I'm talking about investing in farming practices that increase food production while minimizing environmental impact. We need to support small farmers, promote crop diversity, and maybe, just maybe, cut back on the industrial-scale farming practices that are turning our planet into a giant, unsustainable feedlot. Because if we want to keep eating, and let's be honest, who doesn't? We need to start treating our planet like more than just a giant buffet plate. Here's a radical thought. Global problems require global solutions. I know, it sounds crazy, but stay with me. We can't keep treating climate change, pandemics, and economic instability like they're just someone else's problem. It's like going to a buffet, piling your plate high with food, and then being surprised when there's none left for the people behind you. Spoiler alert. We're all at the same buffet, and things are about to get messy. We need to strengthen international alliances, not just for military purposes, but for tackling these shared challenges. We need to be sharing resources, expertise, and maybe even a few of those tiny umbrellas from your last pina colada. And while we're at it, let's ramp up humanitarian aid. Providing support to countries in crisis, helping rebuild war-torn regions. It's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Because a stable, prosperous world is in everyone's best interest, even if some world leaders seem to have missed that memo. Now let's talk about technology. No, not the kind you use to argue with strangers on Twitter, the kind that can actually make a difference. And before you roll your eyes and start muttering about how technology is the root of all evil, hear me out. Technology in the right hands can be a powerful tool for good. Think of it like a chainsaw. It can be used to clear a forest for a strip mall, or it can be used to build a treehouse. It all depends on who's wielding it. We can leverage technology to improve food distribution, healthcare, and education. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, these aren't just buzzwords, they're tools that can be used to create a more just and equitable world. Imagine a world where AI helps us distribute food more efficiently, where blockchain ensures transparency in supply chains, where everyone has access to quality education and healthcare through the magic of the internet. It's not science fiction, it's within our grasp. All we need is the will to make it happen. Finally, let's talk about the most important ingredient in all of this, us. Because real change doesn't start at the UN or in Silicon Valley. It starts with each and every one of us. We need to foster a culture of tolerance, understanding, and dare I say it, empathy. We need to educate ourselves about different cultures, challenge our own biases, and stop treating people who are different from us like they're extras in the background of our lives. We need to support grassroots movements, empower local communities, and listen to the voices of those who are most affected by these issues. Because real change doesn't trickle down from the top, it bubbles up from the bottom. It starts with everyday people, in every corner of the globe, demanding better, doing better, and creating a future worthy of our shared humanity. It won't be easy, but hey, neither is ordering takeout when you can't decide what you want. And yet, we somehow manage to do that every Friday night. So, there you have it, a roadmap to a better future. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that any of this will be easy. This isn't some feel-good TED Talk where we all leave feeling inspired and then go back to our regularly scheduled programming of ignoring the world's problems. While these strategies are not quick fixes, they represent a comprehensive approach to tackling some of the world's most pressing issues. Achieving global peace, ending hunger, and ensuring equality will require sustained effort, collaboration, and commitment from individuals, communities, and nations worldwide. It's going to take hard work, dedication, and a healthy dose of that thing we like to call hope. Because the future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we create. And frankly, I don't know about you, but I'd rather be part of the solution than a bystander watching the world burn.